Assalamu alaikum.
Salam
Welcome, welcome,
alaikum.
welcome, family, to Love My Kidneys, where it takes a lot
Lot
of
of love
love
to
to heal
heal thyself.
thyself. It takes a lot of love to heal thyself, family, and we welcome you. We got a very special to get there. Rewind. Let's rewind that. A very special guest today. We got our dear brother Maurice Muhammad. Our brother is a realtor by trade, and this brother, he does a lot of other stuff too. So he teaches real estate. So this is the time for you to come on and ask your question. Now you might say, well, why in the world are you bringing somebody with real estate on Love My Kidneys? We told you that the goal is to do Love My Kidney Center. So we need a brother like this in our corner so we know when we ready to buy this land and do what we need to do, we can work with our brother and make sure that he gets that commission, because we ain't gonna give it to nobody else. You better believe
You
that.
better believe
You better
that.
believe that. Our brother's gonna be the one that's gonna get it. So we gonna say, brother, this is what we looking for, and he gonna help us to find it. So we are
Inshallah.
glad. That means we got a realtor on the team.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? So
And you all already know we have to create the environment for healing. And
that's
in
right.
order to create the environment, we have to have land. That is just part of this process. When you are healing, family, you need a sanctuary.
That's right.
You need to have that farm like Minister Farrakhan has, that is
Yes.
just beautiful all around. But we have to be able to create that with the land.
The greatest
So,
farm I ever
ever
seen.
seen. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can have it in your city too. So we
Yes.
want you all to definitely put in your questions, listen attentively to the information that our brother has to share with us so that we can move forward, family, and separate ourselves into an environment where we can actually build and grow and create something for our children, create something for our future, so that we don't have to continue to be subjected to what it is that we experience now in the cities of the United States of America.
That's right. So, family, we're going to get deep down in this conversation. So, go ahead, formulate your questions. If you're interested in real estate, you want to get some real estate, you want to know about collective real estate buying and things like that, things that you're going to need to do. This is the brother that you're going to want to talk to. Y'all have to excuse me because I'm dropping this link
That's all right.
and
I'm
a
gonna go
whole
ahead and
bunch of,
start these commercials.
yeah, so we're going to jump in right here. We're going to jump in with the few things we want you to support. Just stay with us, family. We wouldn't bring it to you if we didn't find it valuable for you, okay? So we're going to play a little bit of that.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the nation
of Islam.
That's right. Paximune.
Strengthen your immune with Paximune.
Let's stipulate that this is not a vaccine. I mean, we need to be really clear. We're using the term vaccine to sneak this thing under public health exemptions. This is not a vaccine. This is a mRNA packaged in a fat envelope that is delivered to a cell. It is a medical device designed to stimulate the human cell into becoming a pathogen creator. It is not a vaccine. Vaccines actually are a legally defined term, and they're a legally defined term under public health law They're a legally defined term under CDC and FDA standards, and a vaccine specifically has to stimulate both an immunity within the person receiving it, but it also has to disrupt transmission. And that is not what this is. They have been abundantly clear in saying that the mRNA strand that is going into the cell is not to stop transmission. It is a treatment.
It's a treatment. Yeah. Come on.
My name is Sadiqa Muhammad. I've been blessed with an opportunity to literally press the reset button for my life. And it's just in time for the Muslim reset or Ramadan. I didn't have any Ramadan decorations for my home. And I haven't seen any that represent the MGT. So, the black man and woman are gods. And what do gods do? They create. So join me in pressing the reset button with this beautiful MGT on your wall, reminding you of this blessed Ramadan.
I'ma make you pump like that. You pump like that. You pump like that. You pump like that.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Maxida.
Coffee for the people.
Come on.
We support Black Fam. Most of our vendors are Black people who are working in the Black community. So let's support one another and build this environment.
All right, family. But before we jump in with both feet, We got to wake up your mind. We got to get you ready for this conversation. So we going to give you a little bit of theme music. Then we going to bring our brother on. So here we go.
All right, all right.
Bring your questions, family. It's love my kidneys.
Yeah. That's called connected to the mind.
Come on, lady. Get your minds ready.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, family, I ain't gonna keep going with that one. But that's by yours truly right there. That's by DJ Dawood Ali
That's
in the
right.
building. You know
In
what
the
I'm saying?
building.
So if you need something creative for your podcast, for your YouTube channel, get at your brother. Go ahead and text the word final call 678-736-7086. We can connect like that, and I'll be glad to work with you. Well, family, we have come to that time. Once again, we've come to that time, and we got a very special guest in the building. We got our brother Maurice Muhammad. I mean, I'm gonna call this brother the Supreme Realtor. That's what I'm gonna call my brother, the Supreme Realtor. So, family, look, for those of you that's interested, man, in real estate, you want to buy real estate, you want to know what it takes, what it's gonna look like, you want to know that process. This is the time where you get to ask those questions, man. Because a lot of times we got questions, but we don't really know where to get answers. And this is really, and I'm gonna just say this is really one of the powers that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about. Pooling your resources don't just mean money. Meaning if this brother or you or somebody else got some knowledge, wisdom, understanding, education, and information, that means you can pool that with other people too.
Right.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's
So
right.
your resources is not just finances. So
That's
you
right.
get an opportunity to pick our brother's brain and ask those questions that have been on your heart and your mind about real estate. So that's why we brought our brother here. So I'm gonna let my wife speak, and then we're gonna bring our brother right on.
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum, friends and family. Welcome
Alaikum
to
salam.
Love My Kidneys. Again, we are so grateful to have you to spend a little bit of time with your divine mind
That's right.
and allowing us to bring you information, education to help further us as a people so that we can create the world that we desire to see. We already see our troubles, but now let's see our victory. And our
Right.
victory is in land ownership. We need to own land so that we can, create that environment of healing that we need to create. So I'm not going to spend any more time talking. I want to hear from our beloved brother, Brother Maurice Muhammad. If you could, brother, please let the people know who you are in the universe and share with them that wonderful information.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Thank you. Yep. Um, my name is as my brother and sister stated, I'm Maurice. My name is Maurice Muhammad. I joined the Nation of Islam in 1986. My first lecture was Power at Last, 1985, Madison
Oh,
Square Garden. Um,
wow. Go
that
ahead.
was my first day. First lecture was in New York at Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
I heard the minister, and I was probably 13, 12 or 13 at that time. Yep. And so I'm licensed, as brother stated, I'm licensed real estate broker, realtor, and I like to just give a little backdrop on what realtor, the name realtor. Realtors is a trademark name, and it's trademarked to the realtors who are um, it's a trade association that all real estate agents have to join in order to have access to the MLS. The MLS, and before 1947, we weren't able to join the realtors. So NARAB was established, which is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and they're termed realtist. So we call ourselves realtist, as which happens to be the oldest trade association that was established in 1947 as a result of us not being able to be realtors. And I just wanted to just put that caveat out there, because a lot of people, when they think real estate, they think realtors. Since they did a good job of branding that name of realtors, of being a realtor, and just a little bit of history on that backdrops. But I've been licensed since 2000. Got licensed in 2000 as a real estate agent. I became licensed in Pennsylvania in 2004. I got licensed as a result of wanting to manage my own property and make sure that I managed it and did it right.
Yes.
So when I went to the class, I realized that the class was more than just a real estate class. It actually was a business class. It really helped enhance. Learned about contracts. Learned about the proper way to write contracts, and if it's not in writing, it really doesn't exist. So that principle really is really a business class to help you in all transactions. The principles that you learn in that class, you can take all across business, all across. So I got my broker's license in 2006. Now, there's a difference between a broker and an agent. Agent
Right.
has to hang their license inside of a brokerage under a broker. I got my license as a broker in '06, and under the company that I worked for, Progressive Realty, I purchased that company in '06, and in '06, and then came back in 2013 and got my real estate broker's license in New Jersey. 2013 started the real estate school the same year, because the broker exam and the instructor exam is the same exam. I found that out, So
How it works.
just took it.
Go ahead, family.
Yep. And I started the real estate academy. So we teach real estate. We are able to teach real estate in all 50 states. So any state that allows for online classes, we can provide for you that ability to be able to get licensed if you want to do that in that state. The two states that we teach physical classes right now is New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Currently broker license in New York, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Michigan. So to acquire, I just a couple of things on the steps to acquiring land. And one of the things that I had, put down is what to go with the title is, which the title is We Need to Acquire Land. And then I just put down a few ways to do that. Some of the ways to do that is we can purchase land by cash, having all the cash, a land contract, and joint ventures. Cash, if you have the cash money, you can just go and put down the cash on the property and pay for it outright. Join and pooling our resources, doing what the Most High Elijah Muhammad told us, pool our resources. Get like minds together and pull those like minds together, and we can pool our resources and buy land in that way. A land contract, which was popular. It's been around for a long time, but just like everything else, it comes back under different names. um, a land contract is where the owner holds paper on the property,
Right.
and you can put down a payment, and the owner becomes the bank. He functions as the bank for you. And so instead of having to worry about, going to a bank and having the challenges of credit or getting credit approved, the owner can become the bank. There is still a lot of redlining, and redlining is still where redlining has to do with lending in areas where Black and brown, where we are. So it's harder to get loans, for us to get loans, and that process is still in place. There is a direct, it's definitely a deliberate in making it difficult for us to get loans. So we have to find strategic ways and come with ways to to get land to do it. Sometimes so a strategic loan may not be the case. So a land contract may be the way to go. And then joint ventures. Joint ventures doesn't just necessarily mean you pool in your resources where a person has the ability. You can bring the knowledge to the table, and the other person could already own the land. You could bring the know-how to the table. You may know how to say, well, we want to build a Muslim senior center on the land. And we want to build it on the land. And you may bring to the equation the know-how, the process, and know how to do that, and joint venture with the person that has the land. And you can bring added value to that property. So there's a few ways to do it. So there's nothing that's really stopping us. It's just finding a way to go about doing it, identifying where the land is, and pooling your resources and coming collectively together to to make that happen.
Right.
Identifying the right like-minded persons that have the same idea and the same vision, and when it gets hard, because it will, that they have the desire to hang in there and make sure that they willing to stick and stay. Some of the processes is starting the corporation, and having all parties on the corporation, and that corporation itself is an entity just like an individual is. So if there's 6 of us that starts a corporation, that corporation is an entity. Among the 6 of us, if in fact we need credit, the one with the best credit can be the president or the chair or whatever title that it dictates that your bylaws warrant. And that's something that you or I or whoever's on the corporation would come up with, whatever those bylaws would be, whatever we decide and choose for those bylaws to be. And we can come together collectively and start there. Because what happens when that corporation is originated, it gets a number, tax ID number or a DUNS number, which is equivalent to a social security number for business.
Right.
So now that number is what's used to that becomes your social security number, so to speak. And that number becomes what you use to build your credit under.
Right.
Believe it or not, it's not as hard to build business credit as it is to build and repair personal credit. In some cases, it's a lot easier to come together and join forces as a business and get business credit. So let's say if you want to, once you buy the land, you may need tractors, you may need things to work the land. And as that corporation, and you have that DUNS number and that tax ID number, now you're a corporation, you can go and under the corporation purchase the equipment that's needed and go after it in that entity's name. So I guess to start the process of it really starts with the name of it, and then you acquire, once you gather the in 6 to 8 of, or whatever number amount of the corporation is formed. Then once the corporation is formed, then you establish the corporation, and you get the tax ID and get your tax ID, and then begin the business from that point. Usually the seasoning of a business is somewhere around 33 months. So
Okay.
you're looking at, so you're looking at 33 months for any banks want to touch you in any kind of way or anyone want to lend credit to you. One of the tricks that I realized in business credit is that once you get credit from one entity, it's a lot easier to get it from another.
Okay.
So that's why you'll find that Dun and Bradstreet has something that they'll make you pay for. Well, not make you pay for. They offer offer you for a fee. It's called credit builder or business builder or something. What it does is, if I have a Duns number, you have a Duns number, and we've done business together, I can come to you and they may ask me, well, what's the highest amount? Or they'll ask you, what's the highest amount of business that you've done with the real estate school or Torchlight real estate school? Well, we have a $5,000 30-day, COD policy. We let him get on credit for 30 days COD policy, and the highest amount of credit we've extended to him is $5,000. They'll put that on your business credit because I have a DUNS number and you do, and that becomes your credit, so to speak, as a proof that you're paying credit. And that's one of the things that, and there's other ways to kind of do that with, and that's one of the ways, but I only use that as an example as to really a way to build credit. There's really, the best ways for us to, pool our resources and put our money together and be able to buy land outright or clear that debt as soon as possible so that we don't, because debt is slavery,
Right.
to clear that debt as soon as possible. However, once we do own it, we probably we're going to always at some point need the corporation and need the tax ID portion of the transaction of the process. We are still in this country, and to be legal so that our land don't get taken from us when we do acquire it. Those are some things that we may need. And also the corporation protects us individually. So we're not, if something, we can't be sued individually if for some reason that happens to happen, of some sort. But I don't want to, I want to stop right there. We'll put a pin in it right there, I'll say.
Okay.
And for any questions, if there are, and I kind of wanted to just touch bases on that. And there's any other direction you would like to go, let me know. And I hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely it was, family. It was absolutely very helpful. I want to just read something in the Muslim program, and
That's
it
right.
says, point number 4, what the Muslims want. It says, we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants of slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land that the area may be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in the state or territory of our own. Now, I brought that up because many people say, okay, well, that's nice, and that's I don't ever see that happening. Some people say that, but he's laying the foundation for why you should want to do this, because as the minister have mentioned many times before, he talked about Abraham Lincoln, he talked about Thomas Jefferson, he talked about George Washington, and all of them kind of in the same vein of that they should give us territory, that they should give us land. And Thomas Jefferson even said weapons, so that we can actually defend ourselves on this territory. Now, I brought that up because family, that's what it's going to take. I bring it up for this reason. Because land is the basis for all economic, political, and social freedom. If you don't have no land, then you can forget about the term free at all, because the reality of the matter is it's just like, and I know my brother can speak to this more, like now some of these people, when you're buying homes, you don't own the land. You own the home, but you don't own the land up under it. You own the home, but you don't actually own the grass and the land that it sits on. So you own the house all right, but the bank or whoever that owns that, then they can actually say, okay, well, we want this back, and we want you to move your house. We want you to move your house because you don't own this land. You just own the house that's on it. You know what I mean? And then it comes to you, dear brothers, this. LLC so important in this process. Like you said, I heard you talk about for protection of the parties, but why is a LLC so important in this process of buying land as a collective?
So whether it's an LLC, a corporation, C corp, or whatever the entity, that's a decision that you and the accountant will work on as to what type. You mentioned LLC, and in particular with LLC, one of the first things that comes to my mind about an LLC is how the benefit of having an LLC is that one of the benefits protection of a corporation. So it affords you the ability to file and not have all the fees as a regular straight corporation. Just to have a corporation each year is somewhere around $250, and I believe it depends on what state you're in, whether that's a number or not. So just to have a corporation in existence, there's a fee yearly. I don't want to say what it is. I believe it's $250, and I'm not sure if that's nationwide, but it is a fee yearly just to have that. So if it's an LLC, it really depends on really what that type of protection. So how the taxes are filed is one, and the ability to have the same protections under the corporation. And so what that means is separates your personal. So let's say if 6 of us get together, 3 of us own our own homes, and our corporation gets sued. They can't come after our personal homes because the LLC is what's being sued.
That's right. That's right.
So it sues the LLC as opposed to, Mr. and Mrs. Muhammad individually. Because when the lawsuit happened, everybody gets sued. Any entity that's available that is, lawsuit, every party, the attorneys, they throw it up, and everybody they can try and bring and make a party to the lawsuit they're going to bring is going to be brought into it to attempt to get them to be a part of the lawsuit. One of the things you mentioned about us and the need of the messenger stating to us that we need to separate and have some land of our own. And the proof of history proves that is necessary, because anytime we're left alone, we thrive. Tulsa, Oklahoma, numerous other cities I saw where there was bodies found in New York in the Central Park that looked like us, because when we thrive or go into separate territory of our own, oftentimes we see what Greenwood, what happened. Those type of massacres happen, right? And there's several lakes that is where we're underneath it. Different areas where we was, where we had taken and built, did some building of our own, and those so the white man didn't like it and didn't like to see what he saw, so he chose to do what he does, and come after us and bury and create a lake there and put us underwater and that blew my mind when I heard that
Lake
story
Lanier.
like what is
Yeah,
it
Lake Lanier in Atlanta
Lake
is one of
Lanier.
one of we've been there
Wow,
to Lake
really?
Lanier, and of course I had no idea, and just the thought that they're swimming, boating, and sport and play all on top of a city where
Mm-hmm.
black men and women were thriving. um, you
Mm-hmm.
know but as we say that, what they have done, that scares a lot of our people from doing it again. And
Mm.
that was the point. They wanted to instill that fear in us. But one of the things we have to realize is that we're in an hour now where we have the
Right.
protection of God.
That's
And
right.
there that
That's the
they
difference.
are going to try to do. Their plan is going to backfire,
That's right.
on. So we have to move forward knowing that we are going to establish the kingdom of God and the victory is ours.
It
So,
is ours.
to absolutely move forward in that fashion. But I had a question regarding the land. Is it easier to do farmland in comparison to, let's say, a house, going to buy a house? Is it What is the difference between those two? Um, in acquiring, right, in acquiring the land.
So farmland, is it easier? It really is going to be dependent on where you are.
Hmm.
And it, is it easier in terms of acquiring it, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it depends on really where you are. And the difference is the zoning, is how it's zoned. So most areas where you find land at in the city areas, it's going to be, you have the city that will zone it. It's set every in the town that you live in is zoning. So you'll go and you'll see in the downtown areas, it may be zoned commercial. So it
Right.
may be zoned as commercial, and in each zoning, you have restrictions as to what type of building can be put there, what type of structure can be put there. So for farming, most of the times is going to be zoned as the ability to farm and produce agriculture and produce products that would come from a farm. And the difference between a property that you buy specifically to use land on, that property is going to be zoned as whatever residential. So
Okay.
yeah, so the zoning is pretty much so when we start looking at land, and the very first question that I have a real estate professional have is my fiduciary responsibility to whomever I'm representing is I need to find out what that land is being zoned as, because whether I'm working on the seller side or the buyer side, my job is highest and best use. I mean, I have to make sure I'm ascertaining the highest and best use for, if I'm working for you as the seller, then I have to make sure I'm obtaining the highest and best use, that you're going to get the highest and best use out of that property. If I'm working for you as a buyer, the same thing. So what is it zoned for? We're going to look at this property to buy it, and it goes to our intent too. What are we looking for? If we're going to look for it for land purposes, then this land is this price, but what is it zoned? So it may be zoned agricultural, and you can put, a unit on, but it requires that a home on it, but it requires that it's has to be on each acre, or every 10 acres you can put a house. So
Oh,
those are things that, yeah, so those are the particulars that you have to look for, because a lot of times you can just buy land, but if you don't know what it's zoned as, you could buy land and it could be swamp land. It could be you could put, it could be that you can only put one home on it and it's 100 acres
right.
according to the zoning. Now, not that you don't have the ability to go back and rezone it and go through that process, because there is a process that you can do to it's called you get a variance, and build on it. Most of the times, townships are not going to give you too much of a fight if you're going to be bringing business, because at the end of the day is they want to see their tax rolls, income. So if you're going
Hmm.
to bring revenue to the township, that's pretty much, so that's the language that they speak. So when you're doing that, have that in consideration. How does this benefit that town? Because you are bringing benefit to that town as well. So wherever you are, you're bringing benefit and you're adding value to them as well. So you add to that. So so I think so. It's really the difference. Is the short answer is, you know, is what is zoned as, and the use. So a property that's going to be where you're going to build a home on is going to, depending on where it is, the variance would be that is zoned as, residential. So you might be in low density, high density. So there's a difference in the zoning, per the township.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All praises due to the
Yes,
Lord.
ma'am. Praise be
So
to her.
one of the things that I've learned is that there's money for people to actually go into farming because a lot of people are actually shying away from becoming farmers now. And so that they're actually now allotting monies for people to get into farming. Is that true? And if so, like, what are some of those programs that, if you know of any, that you can actually acquire some of this farmland?
So there's programs that I would say the first place to start would be with HUD. Is to search HUD's website, and see what funding is there available. In this CARES Act, and then there was an act, there was part of it that came behind it. There's a lot of different, it's a thick book, of it. That's probably a good start to look there and to see what's in there and see what's in it from the farming perspective. I don't know of any particular anything that's, that I could speak specific to as far as that there's money directly allocated to farmland. However, there's always some level of funding for it. And the key with that is structuring your plan to fit that budget, or fit what that budget is. Now, what I will say is that with the pandemic and with what's going on, is some things have been made a little bit easier to get, to get a hold of those funds, if you which requires a grant writer and somebody, to write the grant, and or depends if you're a nonprofit. It depends on a couple things. As a nonprofit, there's funds available for that, but then also there's regulations and stipulations for that. As a nonprofit, that's probably going to be where you find most of your funding. But I would say I would consult the CARES Act, and the last I'm not sure what the last, I forget the name of it, but it was the CARES Act, and then there was another name that they named the second portion of it, and consult those and find out there's funding, particularly in the farming portion of it, as to see what's allocated to farmland and agricultural, because some of it is, it may not be, they may not call it farming, but it urban or agricultural or urban what's the name of it? There's another name that that it fits underneath. So it may not be farming, but rural is rural areas. So rural, you could look under rural. Yep. Yeah, and that would be the source and so those would be two of the places where the funding is for that. So it's a lot of opportunities there. The thing is, like you said, when it comes to farming, it's really deliberately done to deter, as a deterrent, and to plant the seed of you can't, and you can't do it, and you can't, I wrote one book. I have a book. It's called Property Management 2.0, and mhm. But the next book I'm writing is going to speak to that mindset, what you just mentioned about us not being able to having a desire or having a mindset of what I can't do, and in particular to those of our brothers that's incarcerated and come home and don't
Mhm.
feel that they can get into the real estate profession or get into the banking industry or get into insurance, and because there's a shortage of us in those industries, and not
Right.
everybody that goes away is completely, can't not be trusted.
Right.
Some of the brothers and persons that went away will be excellent real estate professionals.
Right.
Some of our brothers that go away will be excellent real insurance agents because of their mindset. They have a mentality, to get up. They nobody have to tell them what to do. So often though, but it's such a great deterrent there when you do get licensed, or if you look it up and you ever been incarcerated, you've been in jail, and then you look up, can I get a real estate license? The language is so vague and it's so just ambiguous and is vague, and it makes you really not make one, if back up from it,
Right. Right.
and one of the things I did learn from that was that you know um you can definitely sue, if you've completed your time, you did the time that you were supposed to do, you come home, you meet all the requirements, and if the commission stops you from becoming to be a gainfully employed person, that's a lawsuit for yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because you did everything, you did your time, and and I learned that personally, specifically because I had to go through that, go through that process of
Yeah.
going before the panel and seeing, and getting my license that way. But
Yes, sir.
that's all I have on that. Just
Okay.
wanted to
Yes,
share
sir.
that. Yes,
And I
ma'am. Thank you.
appreciate you, really bringing that point up because actually land ownership, and being able to be, gainfully employed or being able to make a way for yourself when you come out of prison. This is the way that we keep you out of that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we start teaching and training the youth,
Yeah.
to be constructive instead of destructive, when we give them and have something for them to do. Let's say you buy a farm. Well, we want to build a house on that farm. Well, we're going to go and get the youth and we're going to show them how to build. We're going to show them
Mm-hmm.
how to do plumbing, how to do
Mm-hmm.
put in electricity in the home. This is how we begin to change our environment.
That's right. That's
It is
We be the
absolutely.
cause. We be the change.
Look, Minister
Mm-hmm.
Farrakhan said that we have to be the ones to rebuild these
Waste the cities. Waste the cities. Mm-hmm.
so we go and buy these old homes that have been abandoned, and they become projects for us to, allow our youth, both men and women, to go in and learn. I do design jewelry, and one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I promote with my classes with the youth is the more constructive we are, the less destructive we are. We got to
Mm.
put something in the hands of the youth. A lot of the brothers and sisters that end up in jail was because there was nothing for them to do. They got
That's
caught
right.
up, they
That's
got caught
right.
up. They weren't busy. Mom and dad was working at 9 to 5, you know, but it wasn't 9 to 5, it was probably 9 to 9, by the time you finish with the traffic and, oh, I got to stop at the grocery store. Oh, I got to go and pay this bill and this. What time is there for the children? But when you have your own land and you are producing on that land, now you got more time.
Mm-hmm.
You got more
Mm-hmm.
time for your children. You can, Brother Ghazi, he's in Atlanta now. He was in Arizona. Him and his wife bought 25 acres of land in Georgia. And so not only does it have a banquet hall, but now they're building cabins, so that you can come. And then he works a lot with brothers and sisters that are in the prison, and he brings them now to the farm to, give them a different expression of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So owning land is not really just for us as
Mm-hmm.
individuals. It is for the
Mm-hmm.
Right.
the
Facts.
more that can do with that land,
That's
the
right.
more we can, my husband and my son and I, we talk about, the land that we want, and how, okay, well, if we can't build a house in the interim, we can put mobile homes on it. So we can have a mobile home with our business in one mobile home. And then my son can have a mobile home a acre away, and with his family, inshallah. And then we would have our own, and then having a community garden where we can come and grow our own food, really building a world for a safe haven for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I really love about this conversation that we're having, is how important the land really is for us to have. Yes, how to acquire it, but I think the most important thing is to have the mind to
That's
want
right.
it,
That's
and
right.
you can go to work on how to get it.
That's
Right.
right. Man, that's powerful, sis. And that's one thing that comes to mind when you say that, and I have to say this, is that first, once you identify and you know that you want to do it, the thought and negative, all the things going to come up of why you can't do it and how that it can't be done.
Mm,
Fight against that and know that, for any listener or anyone that may see this and view it, know that it's not, the money is not your issue. Just decide it and claim it.
right.
Because once you make that decision that you want it and that you identify and you claim it and you go after it, and walk out there and walk on it and go out there and touch it and claim it. If it's
Yes.
a piece that you see, go walk it and
Mm,
put it in the universe first and
yes.
Yeah.
call on the God, and Master Father Muhammad, for us, he's waiting for us to call, and he can't
Mm,
even do his part until we do ours.
that's
Until
right.
we go and first identify it and be, he don't break, he's not gonna break his own laws, but
Mm,
it's for us right now. You said something earlier. The difference of where we are now is that we have the protection of the God. They got
Yeah.
away with it back then because it was within their time to rule.
right.
In the Holy Quran, it talks about you're going to allow a ruler to cause bloodshed. It was within their time frame at that time.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in their rulership. That was already that it was in there. But now the God has come for us, and His protection is here for us. So we don't have to worry about that. We don't
Right.
carry weapons. We don't carry a penknife. But we can go there and we can do these things, and we should, do these things in obtaining land, and without any doubt, walking to it, because there's ways to do it without a dime. Let me say, I purchased. Okay, I came home from jail in '95. I bought my first property in '97. I didn't have the money at all. I bought a real estate commercial infomercial showing up, book by Dexter Muhammad. It's called "How You Buy Real Estate When You're Broke and Bankrupt." I can't
Okay.
find that book for nothing. I loaned it to a brother, and he won't even give it back. It ain't that he can't. I can't find him. He just refused to give it back. It took me about 5 years to identify where it was at, but I can't get it back. But that book, in the book,
Yeah.
How to Buy Real Estate When You're Broke and Bankrupt, it talked about, really dealing with the mind part of it.
Right.
First, identifying it, because the money is the least of it.
Yeah.
Mm,
But a lot of times, man, I ain't got that kind of money to get that to get. But there's ways. Often you can land contracts. You can negotiate with the owner, and the owner may take he'd be willing to take a down payment and give you the land and write it up, and you pay him off in small. And that happens a lot in the South,
mm,
especially other areas. So a lot of areas in the South, that's the way it's acquired. So in Michigan. So different cities and different areas, have different ways that you can acquire real estate and acquire land.
right.
So, my point for saying that is, don't let money be the issue. If you find something, the good deals always, always, always find the money. So the
Mm,
right deals will always find the money, and walk into it knowing that, walk into it, with confidence, and getting the right people collectively, pooling your resources, not necessarily money wise, but pooling the knowledgeable resources, like you said, and getting
right.
those that know and play a role, and each party on your team playing a different role, and that's what their role is, you know,
Mm,
and take a good business class. If you can't find a real estate class to take, if you don't know business, or you can't find a business class, it don't have to be. I mean, take a class to understand contracts, and
mm,
understand, because the Holy Quran teaches us about contracts.
Yes,
Get a
it
scribe and get a witness and
Come
write
on
it
now.
down. The scribe is script from the word, scribe means to write. Write it down and get a witness. So, and so, and I want, the wealth gap between it's in a number of places. I think how white folks got so rich, this is spelled out in it, that the black average income is about $5,500. The average Hispanic is about $12,000, and the average white's income is 112 or 106. And it's different numbers in different writings and different articles and different writings.
Right.
That's largely in proportionate because of real estate and insurance. One thing, and the other question I just would ask, and it was interesting, is that do you think it's because of insurance? If we, some cultures put insurance on one person, family member, who's the eldest about to maybe pass, and everybody collectively pay it. And when that person dies, the family collectively take the insurance policy, and use it for the benefit of the whole, as a means for getting ahead.
Right.
Ways to use insurance. So I'm not an insurance salesperson, or the sales. I don't know the terms. There's a bunch of different term policies and different policies that you could use, but insurance is another way.
Yes.
That really helps build your wealth fast.
That is so true. We're a part of the ABS tribe with Brother Ben X and Jacob Taylor Jacobs, and they actually teach a course on real estate and how to be your own bank.
Yeah.
And this is how they have built wealth. And when we read in Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, this is one of the ways that they got rich off of us through insurance, because they would insure the slave. Yeah. And so after they would beat the hell out the slave and the slave was damaged, they would go and collect the insurance off of their damaged property, because they couldn't, because they had been whooped or beat. But this is how they gained a lot of their wealth, was through the insurance. And then of course you can borrow off of the insurance, and your tax bracket is so much less. I think it's like, I don't even think you have to pay taxes back on the money that you borrow from your insurance. So it's definitely
1%.
Is it 1%? Okay.
1% interest.
So it's definitely a way. And see, we've been, some of us, paying insurance forever and never even thought for a moment to borrow the money. Because let's say if you got $1 million policy, you borrow $50,000. Well, if you pass before you pay that back, your family don't have to worry about paying it back, because it's going to come out of that policy. So that,
or we in the wrong policies, or we in the wrong type of policies and don't know.
That's true, right? So those are some things that we have to look into. We have to look into a trust, so that the property cannot be just taken away from us.
That's big. That's big.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, brother?
Can I share this real quick before you jump into this? Because I want us to look at this just quickly. A couple points. Number one, law, 90% of law is based on land ownership. 90% of all law is based on land ownership.
Okay.
And if you don't own anything, then it's a different way that they can treat you. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're not a landlord. You're not a landlord. So therefore, you don't own any land. So therefore, because you don't own any land, now it's a different way they can even treat you. Because if you think about it, when you go into Chinatown, it's a Chinatown in every city now. When they go in as a collective, not only do they control where they are, they can even speak with police forces and tell them the type of police that they want in their neighborhood.
Right.
Even if something does happen, think about this. When the last time you heard about something negative about a Chinese community on the news? I'm talking about in America. You don't see it.
Mm.
You don't see it because they don't just let them put anything out there. Even though things are going on, they don't let that. So I want to share this because my brother and my wife mentioned something talking about insurance. See, so I want us to know that in our problem book, the Savior talked about insurance too.
Mm.
Listen what he said. He said, this is problem 34, the last problem in the problem book. It says, the uncle of Mr. W.D. Farr lives in the wilderness of North America and works 16 hours of a 24-hour day for very little pay, which we talked about a minute ago, talking about the disparities in regards to how much more money they make than us, right? He has a large family to support. And on top of that, a Satan came along and sold him a life insurance and gave him a written guarantee that he will receive a full benefit at once and after approval of his death. Now, I will stop right there because he, like you said, we're getting the wrong policies because we're not even educated on the type of policies to get. Some get term life, some get whole life, some get this and that. And the way they're writing the policies, it ill affects you and you end up messed up at the end of it, and you're not even able to obtain what it is that you're supposed to. So like you said, and what the letter said, it said a Satan came along and sold him a life insurance, meaning that this devil maker now, because Satan is the devil maker, this devil maker now have given you this life insurance policy, which he say he gonna pay in full, but then oftentimes, like you said, life, whole life versus term life. See, right there, even in that is games being played. So that means that you have to be educated on even the type of insurances to get. We've heard 1,000 times in movies talking about trust funds and all of that, but we haven't necessarily learned how to utilize the same thing that they do. And I just say this lastly, Brother Jake Taylor Jacobs talked about this in one of his becoming the bank master classes. He talked about how, like my wife said, they would insure the slaves that they had because slaves was considered property.
Right.
And so at times, like when they putting us on the whipping post and all of that, and it wasn't even necessarily we did anything, they needed money. They needed money, so they'll beat you and say, well, this property is damaged now. And I need to, and they did this and they did that. And now they tell the insurance company this, and the insurance company pays them this money for damaged property. Okay?
Wow.
So this is how deep and devious insurance was. And when you hear about slave policies like MetLife and JP Morgan and people that were actually writing these policies, right?
That's still in existence to
Still
this
in
day.
existence. Come on now. So this is just going back to teach you about that if you dig deep enough into it, right? Where they benefited off things like that.
Right.
So I just wanted to really mention that because insurance, as our brother shared with us, I just say this. The Miami Dolphins have insurance, and that's how they pay their players. They don't take any money out of their personal pocket. They pay it through insurance because they're able to get it at a 1% interest They're able to get it at 1% interest. As a matter of fact, if you do the research, as brother shared with us, you will find that even Walt Disney bought all the land for Walt Disney World with insurance. He didn't buy it out of his personal pocket. He borrowed against the insurance. And here's the beauty of it: 1% interest. Not only 1% interest, really you can decide if I want to buy and pay it now, or if I'm going to just let them take it when I'm dead. In other words, you getting access to your insurance reserves, and because you can get access to it, you can use it to buy land, to do whatever else. But a lot of us, like you said, we not taught into that.
Right.
And my wife wanted you to talk about land trust.
So, man, you brought up a lot and you hit on a few points. I wanted to switch. I want to add my other device so I can get in motion, if that's okay, and to continue the conversation, because I don't want to stop it. So I'm gonna get on to my other device. Let me put this off here.
Okay, I'm gonna add that one, and okay, you there? So I'm gonna remove that one. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
So, one of the things that you mentioned about the insurance and the prison and how our bodies as individuals, slave bodies, we was worth profit. I forget the Savior's Day we were at, and it was in the prison workshop. And one of the brothers, this is an echo here. The brother that did the prison reform workshop spoke. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Spoke to the fact that that as every bed represents a dollar amount. That's why the prison is privatized. Each inmate and every prisoner represents a dollar amount. So what you mentioned about that still goes on and still is in existence in the prison pipeline. Not only while you're in there, you're worth money. While you're on parole, and when you leave prison, that's still that policy or whatever that dollar amount, you're still worth that amount to that individual when when you come home.
Wow.
The 80s, so one of the things that when it comes to the trust, and what I find is I'm a housing counselor, right? And I get calls often in real estate, and often, a lot of times, sometimes it's us, and land gets left to us, or we maybe our family members die, and we'll get left the land, and the land will get taken by the state. So the reason I started the school mainly is for the education, because for lack of knowledge, our people we perish, and that was really the part of it. And that's great what Brother Ben and brothers doing, to educate us, and all because we need it. We need to be educated in a way, and finding ways to make it cost effective to for us. And that's one of my goals, to make it cost effective where it's not as expensive for us to to get knowledge, real estate knowledge. And but we have to really become more educated and informed on the process of what to do when we do own land, or we do own real estate, or we are left real estate, because a lot of times it gets what they call a sheet. It goes back to the state, and the state will take it. Oftentimes, when your loved one is in a senior citizen home, that senior citizen's home can sometimes take that property from your loved one, if they for their bill, for their for their bill, the debt that they owe. But a lot of times we won't know that if that loved one has someone that they can go home to, or they can sign on and add them as their beneficiary, or someone that can look after them. That changes the dynamics of it. So
Right.
just education. That's what I would speak to the portion of um, the estate and the estate portion of it is really becoming informed, and those that know, we have to pool our resources and help others to know, and make sure that we get the information, you know to each other, because it's only us that's going to do it. It's really, um, we're all we got, and we're the
Right.
ones that really is the only ones that's going to be able to make it work for us. And it's
Yeah.
and to take it and own it as our responsibility, to do it. It's our responsibility.
It is absolutely our responsibility, brother. And brilliant minds like yours is important to have in the community. And I'm glad that you have the school and that you're sharing this information with our people, because we've been duped for a long time, and it's actually seemed like it's getting easier and easier to scam us. So the
Yeah,
more that we
definitely.
know, it is, and I see it.
Mm.
I think the pandemic brought more scams out
That's
than
why we
ever.
had the conversation we had last night.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm,
So we
that
we
was part
have
of what that.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
have to really be prepared for all that is in front of us, but still know in the midst of all of that, we have the victory. We just have to know how to maneuver,
we do.
in these different currents that are taking place. And my brother mentioned Finding Nemo. He
Mhm.
was able to get out the current when it was time. You know,
Right, right,
so we have to know
right. Yes, ma'am. Hmm.
where we are, and we have to have that strength to be able to swim against currents that are coming against us,
Right.
right? But then we got to know how to flow
That's
in the
right.
current that is right,
That's right.
and the current that is right is the one that is with God.
That's right.
And
That's the only current. That's right.
that's the correct current. You absolutely, brother.
The
And
correct current. Oh, man. That's
that is the correct current. And land ownership is part of what God wants for us, because this land belongs to us. We are the original people of the universe,
That's
and
right.
all of it belongs to us, and we should not have to pay
Come on.
for it. But because we live in the time of an evil ruler, this is what we have to do, right? So we're going to do what we have to do in order to get this land. But no, there's people out here ready to give you some land too. And
That's
I
right.
believe that. I told my husband, somebody going to give me a house. They're going to give it to me. I'm going to walk up and they're going to say, this is yours. And I'm claiming it just like that, um, because that is something that I desire, not just a home. I want some land. I want a farm. I want to not necessarily, I want to feed, my family and, maybe some neighbors, but I'm not trying to feed the community. I don't want, well, I ain't gonna say what I don't want. I want what Allah want for me. But my point is, I want somebody to have to drive up to my house. I want to know you coming. I don't want you to park on the street and then walk to my house. No,
Yeah.
you need to drive all the way up in there, you know, before you get to my home, and I just love what the minister has as far as his farm. I've been there, I've experienced it, and it is absolutely beautiful and phenomenal. What he needs is on that land. And I just think that's something that if we have that as individuals and as people, let's say if it's 100 acres and I got 5, you got 5 or 10 or what, have you, we can be neighbors, but we don't have to be all up on one another.
Right.
So when we do this thing collectively, family, there's no end to what it is that we can accomplish, because everything comes from the earth. And brother,
Right.
I think you're frozen. Are you still with us?
yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
I just see your beautiful face
It
behind
did
the
freeze for a
tree.
second. It
Okay.
froze a second.
Okay. But as I'm talking about that farmland, you got that beautiful tree, going on behind you. So if we pull our resources, family, and work together, we can have so much more than what we can have as individuals. And then, of course, we have security and safety. I can come out my door and say, Assalamu alaikum,
Right.
and I'm going to receive that back. From you from 5 miles away. We might have to call each other and say, I'm saying, I'm like, I'm at my front door. but our children be able to go out and be at peace and be with nature, and experience walking on the earth without shoes and being grounded and connected, and I think that's so important. So brother, we're not going to hold you too much longer because we do know, that you have a day to continue it. We do appreciate your knowledge, the information that you have shared with us, your beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
We can look forward to continuing to grow our relationship so that we can do what we say we want to do, and that's
That's
pull our resources.
Yes, yes. And brother, please let everybody know. You can make any closing remarks that you want, but please let everybody know how to contact you if they want to take your real estate class or, any of the other services that you offer, so that they can get involved with what you're doing. Please let them know that how they can contact you, and again, we do appreciate you. Family, if you got any questions about it, please put it in the chat. We didn't see any questions, but if you got any, please put it in there, as far as land acquisition and real estate.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It's an honor. It's a privilege and honor to be a part. Thank you for having me on your show. Grateful to Allah for that. I'm definitely going to also look you up on some of your editing skills for what you mentioned for podcasts, because I do have a small podcast called Everything Real Estate. I don't have any. I talked to you about that my commercials, and I see you got this thing real nice and laid out, brother, with them commercials. That's a blessing, man. So, but I could be reached at the real estate school is a torchlight.com is the real estate school. Um, on Facebook at the Torchlight Real Estate Academy and or Progressive Realty. The name of the real estate company is a Torchlight Realty, and that's our office that serves for commercial real estate out of New Jersey. We do handle it's a full service real estate company, but our focus is commercial. And in Pennsylvania, the company is Progressive Realty. So Progressive Realty is the website is progressiverealty.org, and the website for the Real Estate Academy is torchlight.com. I could be reached on Facebook under Maurice Muhammad 2.0. My book is Property Management 2.0, and it's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Property Management 2.0. Um, and just here to serve and make myself available to our people first, and it's the adage of putting the mask on yourself first before you put it on the next person.
Right.
The oxygen mask on yourself first, and it is in that spirit, that I wish to serve, and I strive to, serve as our leader serves and follow, his example and strive to be, of service.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Yes, sir.
yep.
Yes, sir. So,
Again, thanks for having me. I look forward
brother,
to
go
working
ahead.
together.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We are honored and we are blessed to have had your presence, family, and anybody out there that is looking to purchase some real estate, definitely get at our brother,
Oh,
and
yeah.
even if he's not necessarily in your state, he got somebody on the ground in your state, so that he can
That's right.
still work with you to get what you need. So, family, again, we are blessed to be with our brother Maurice. We thank you for your time. We
Yes.
thank you for your knowledge. And we thank you, family, for tuning in with us. Again, this will be on our Anchor FM podcast. We are also on Pandora, Phenomenal Radio, and just type in Mind Spark Creations and you will be able to find us
That's
on the
right.
podcast, Spotify as
Nice.
well. So you can hear this again. So after this is done, we're going to put this up on the podcast. We'll be sure to send it to our brother. You all can actually go to and re-listen once again.
That's right. And
Thank you,
share
thank
it.
you, thank you, family.
Share it with your friends and your family. Because this is an important topic. And start the process, family. Like brother said, go stand on that land. Find some land and go and stand on it and claim it, and begin the process in your mind, because we have to start thinking on the thought in order to manifest what it is that we see and what we want in our life. So thank you again, family. You all have an awesome rest of the day. Thank you for spending some of your Thinking Thursday with us. We're going to have our next show at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is the Queen of Rap, where I create natural holistic healing jewelry, working with natural stones and copper. We're actually going to have a live show, a live sales show. So come on with your pocketbooks and your wallets, because 10% of what you spend goes to Love My Kidneys, and Love My Kidneys Center will be established on some land. So in order to do that, family, we got to support one another. So we definitely look forward to connecting and making this happen. Brother, again, thank you so very much. May Allah continue to bless you with success.
May Allah bless you as well. You're welcome and thank you.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
All right,
salam.
brother. We'll see you again soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
All
So
right, family. We were blessed to be with our brother, brother Maurice, and this brother is a wealth of knowledge. So again, you can tap in with him on where we already put the websites up, so you can actually go there. And if you need interested in real estate, you can actually go ahead and contact him, and he'll be able to help you. Also, family, if you like to support this podcast and what we're doing, you can do so, and that's you can do it through Cash App. That's Love My Kidneys. Also, if you don't like to do that, you can also support our online store, which is at www.etsy.com/shop/Nafiza, NAFEEZAHALI, and that's Etsy.com/shop/Nafiza Ali. So if you like to do that, family, we appreciate it. We really appreciate that family. We really appreciate you tuning in with us. Please come on and be with us at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Come on and be with us at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. This is a great time for you to get some of that holistic healing jewelry. We want to bless you because you have been with us, you've been watching with us, and we want to turn that blessing over to you by giving you a discount that you're not going to get anywhere else. And we're only doing that because you are our family.
that's
So
right.
that's why we're doing it. And no, we're not trying to belittle what my wife does, because what she does is sacred, okay? So we're only doing it to make it accessible to you.
That's right.
And the old adage is, if you want something new, you got to get out with the old. You got to get rid of the old to get something new. So that's what this is about, and it's beautiful, it's wonderful. So come on, be with us at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, so that we can actually she's going to have the jewelry out. We're going to put up numbers so that if it's something you want, you can actually pay right now. We can get your information and go ahead and ship it out to you tomorrow. We can ship it out as early as tomorrow, family. We have enjoyed you. We pray that you've enjoyed this conversation. If you have, please share, share, share. Go to Mind Spot Creation on YouTube. Go ahead, click that subscribe and like button. And, so that way you know exactly when we come on live. We got a new book getting ready to come out, family,
Yes.
called Dreams versus Manifesting It into Reality. It's going to be a whole journey, because we're going to have the book, going to have the workbook, and it's going to be an online course.
Yes.
So we giving y'all some inside information that other people don't know. The book is really already written It'll be going to the editor, God willing, next week,
Right.
so we can get all that editing done, and then you know, just get ready to go ahead and get this out to you. So we would appreciate your support. We think that the book is very valuable for those of you who want to manifest your dreams
That's right.
into reality.
Because it's time.
It is time, family.
It
It
is
is
time.
time
Yes.
for us to, as the scripture says, shake the dust
Mm,
and rise.
that's
Shake
right.
that dust off
That's right.
and rise on up and
Mm,
be who God created you to be. Don't be
absolutely.
afraid to be what God
Don't be afraid anymore,
created you to
family.
be.
Right.
You are powerful beyond belief.
Yes.
Okay?
It's
Remember that.
it's time to shed that fear, and take that first step.
That's right.
We got to take that first step, fam. And the first step is the mind, the thought. We're going to think on the thought, and then we're going to move forward into creating that thought into whatever it is that you desire.
That's right. All right, family. So we have enjoyed you. We pray that we have delivered something of value to you. I know I got a lot out of it, but just because I did don't mean you did. But we pray that something we said was of value to you and something that you can definitely use. And family, let us begin pooling our resources. If we want to live a certain life, don't you know that if we collectively purchased it and really made a conscious decision that this is how we want to live, we can actually do it. We can have a heaven on this earth if
Right.
we would just pool our resources. We can have 50 acres, 100 acres, 1,000 acres, 10,000 acres, where we can actually build cities, towns
Mhm.
to the caliber
Hey,
that we want.
look, they got whole cities on sale
They
for
got,
like a
yes,
million, 1.3 million. I know
right,
one in Georgia. So
yes,
it's
yes.
whole cities. We
Nine,
drove through a place here in Arizona that
yes,
was abandoned, and I'm sure if we decided we wanted it, we can go pay for it and get it.
right. They got 19 families combined in Georgia. I believe they bought 100 acres of land and they're building on it right now
Mhm.
as we speak. But you can follow that same process anywhere you are. One of the things we have to do is shake our fear of somebody going to find out some things about us that we don't want to know. All of us are in the bathtub. All of us are in the bathtub, family. None
Mm.
of us are clean and pristine clean. Okay, all of us in the bathtub. All of us have flaws. All of us have things that we working on. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us how we can have heaven on this earth, and that's by
Mm.
pooling our resources.
Right.
And I always painted this picture, and I'm gonna leave with this: if it takes 40 believers to make a mosque, and in that 40, like we said, we don't know how many families it would be, but just say it was 20 families in there. And those 20 families, right, are paying, just say, a minimum of $700 a month, which we know that's low. Okay? We know that's low. So that means you are paying $14,000 a month, $14,000 a month as
Mm.
a collective family. Do you know what you can do with $14,000 a month
Mm.
when it comes to land ownership,
Mm.
when it comes to buying what it is that you want to buy? See, it's not the individual power, it's the power in our unity. And this is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our unity is more powerful than an atomic
That's
bomb.
right.
And if you all don't have this powerful book,
Mm.
Message to the Black Man, go ahead and get it. Store.finalcall.com. That's store dot final call. Sorry. .com. Pick that up, and you definitely want to read the section land and qualifications. Read the whole book,
Yes.
but read that section, land and qualifications. We thank everybody for tuning in, tapping in with us. Come on, become a part of our community. Please text the word next level. Text the word next level to 678-736-7086 so that way we can be connected. We can text you back and forth. We can share things with you, give you inspiration, information, education, and motivation, because that's
right.
what we do. May Allah bless each and every one of you. We thank everybody that tuned in with us, and we pray that you've gained more knowledge and at least come up 1 degree as you have been with us. May Allah continue to bless you, family. We look forward to seeing you on Queen of Rap. The Queen of Rap. I'm going to say it right. The Queen of Rap. That's right, at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum. Have an awesome day, fam. Love you guys.